People love the Donkey Kong Country games, but one of the biggest complaints I hear about the third game is that they don't like Kiddy Kong and he's annoying. What could be so annoying about him though? Okay, that is pretty annoying. He's a toddler and so I get what they're going for, but no thank you. However, I feel like people write off the entire game just because of this one aspect. I mean, he only makes that sound when you die, so it's not too often. Being better at the game will obviously help. Now, there's other reasons too, and I find some of these are more valid than others. For example, why couldn't they have just replaced him with, I don't know, maybe the character the game is named after? Donkey Kong? Funny enough, Donkey Kong is in both of the newer games that were made by Retro Studios. To be fair, he wasn't playable in the second game either, but many gamers are forgiving of this because at least Diddy Kong was still there, and both characters were small and nimble. So if Diddy Kong had to be replaced by somebody bigger, then why not Donkey Kong? Plus, by the third game you would have expected Donkey Kong to have come back. I mean, he's only playable in the first game of the entire original trilogy. Now, this being the third game in the trilogy is another reason why people weren't as excited. The first game came along and caught everybody's attention. The second game really improved upon some things, but by the time the third game came along, it just wasn't as novel, and we're talking 1996 here, when the next generation had already arrived and Nintendo fans were thinking about Nintendo 64. Didn't stop the game from selling gangbusters though, just not as much as the previous games. Okay, so it's time to talk about why this game is good. The most obvious reason is that it has a lot of what made the two games before it so fun. Fun gameplay mechanics, the tag team system, animal buddies, creative level design, and so on. Not only that, but it has something the original game didn't that was highly praised in the second game, and that would be the bonus levels and items you find. You see, in the first game, some of the bonus barrels were in really random spots that had you feeling more lucky than clever when you found them. In the second game, they were hidden in much more clever, not to mention reasonable ways. This trend continued in the third game, and it really gives the game a lot more depth. You can play the levels just trying to get through to the end, or go for more of a completionist approach by trying to find all the bonus barrels. There's also the DK coin that you can find in each level. It involves solving how to hit this enemy, appropriately named Coin with a K, from behind with a steel barrel. When you factor all of this together, it can give you a reason to go back and play levels again, looking for stuff you didn't come across the first time. One bonus item that they did get rid of, however, was the banana coins, but I really don't mind this because the banana coins were used to save your game, and I didn't enjoy that. It didn't ruin the game or anything, but I definitely prefer how the third game doesn't restrict your ability to save. One change that does bum me out, however, is that they got rid of your rattlesnake buddy. He was basically replaced by Ellie the elephant, who is likable enough, but it's just hard to top the fun had bouncing around with the snake. That's how it goes though. You wouldn't want them to just recycle every single thing from the last game. In fact, when comparing the list of enemies between 2 and 3, they basically came up with an entire new set of enemies, all with their own fun and wacky names, like Booty Bird. It's effort like that which makes this feel like its own unique game. As much as many of us would have been happy with them going the easy route and just having Donkey and Diddy Kong as the playable characters in every game, they went the more difficult route of coming up with different characters. Yeah, it ended up being Kiddy Kong, but I still have to give them some points for trying. And speaking of trying, there was some pretty clear effort put into the level designs in this game. There was a lot of creative thinking at work, and the game keeps things interesting by constantly switching up what you're doing. However, the changes are more level-to-level differences, so you can get a feel for what you're doing at the beginning of a stage as it continues to expand upon those concepts until you reach the end. One last point I want to bring up is how this game embodies the whole country setting more than the second game did. You may prefer the darker pirate theme of the second game more, which is undoubtedly pretty cool, but I feel like this game embodies the spirit of the original more in terms of setting. Comparisons of the game's differences are welcome, and I appreciate that they feel like distinct games. But I still just have a hard time imagining somebody being a fan of the series and finding no enjoyment in the third game. Are you one of those people, or do you enjoy this game like I do? As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see ya in the next video.